List of the first semi-final of the junior women's single scull, and we have Elena Dimitriev of Estonia in lane 1, Anna Maria Matran of Romania in lane 2, Victoria Kalinovska of Poland lane 3, Daria Stavinoga of Ukraine, the defending champion, in lane 4, Beatriz Varela of Portugal in 5, and Svetlana Milosevic of Serbia in lane 6. Of course, everyone's excited. Two races on the same day, two tough races. Guys, this is really a challenge, especially for these young athletes, right?
Yes, especially when it's the semifinals and the finals after that. There's gonna be something special, I guess.
Definitely a tough day, but I think everybody's excited to race. This is the, like you said yesterday, the first and most likely the last international race. So I think everybody's excited to race.
Yeah, I saw Svetlana Milosevic taking a short walk just an hour ago, trying to get her composure, get her mindset for this race. What would you think is running through her mind now in this start situation?
Well, I think she's definitely got her game face on, and I think that even though she's young, she's only 15, that she's going to do her best, and she knows this course. So I hope that's going to be a plus.
So 14 kilos to the single scull, and these athletes might weigh between, 65 and 75 kilos, most of those single scullers. So they accelerate this very quickly after the start and try to get their boat onto speed, like 15 strokes or so. And then they try to settle into that rhythm that they need, especially also in this single scull, an economic way of moving your boat, of putting the same amount of power to your blades every stroke to be able to sustain that pace, roughly 220 strokes to a race. So let's see who comes out from this starting phase first.
Yes, and I think the single scull is also an interesting discipline because things can change very fast. I mean, going from length of open water to bow ball to bow ball. So it will be. If we're looking at some good races, it's going to be very, let's say, exciting until the very end. So I'm excited.
Yeah, when you have a short, weaker period in the race, it can cost you a little bit, but not too much. And on the other hand, you can accelerate your boat really nicely over 2 or 3 strokes to sprint speed. So let's see. So, but it's 2,000 meter Olympic distance. So these ladies expect race times of around 8 minutes. So this is really an endurance thing, but it's also they need to cope with the pain, with the lactate.
I think it's a mind thing as well. Being in the single scull, it's really a special type of person. Needs to be very strong and needs to keep his head strong or her head strong. They don't have a coxswain to get them out of there, nor can they sort of rely on a partner. They're alone out there, and they really need to keep it up.
Na stazi se trenutno nalazi i krenula je prva trka polufinalnog programa u kojoj ženski skif u kojoj se nalazi u 6. stazi naša Svetlana Milošević. Prvi broj 1 je Estonija, prvi broj 2 Rumunija, broj 3 Poljska, prvi broj 4 Ukrajina, prvi broj 5 Portugal i 6 Srbija.
So leading in the middle of your picture, that's Victoria Kalinovska of Poland, who clocked the third fastest time of yesterday's heats. But the fastest time was clocked by the sculler from Belarus, who is in the next semi-final. But she looks good there, strong, and a good economic rhythm. Not rating very high though. And to the right of her in the blue and yellow colors of Ukraine is Daria Stavinoga, who is the defending champion. Last year these championships were held in Essen in Germany, and that's where she won her title. So these two athletes look set on going through to the A final, and who else is in the race? Also maybe in a position to get one of the first three qualifying positions here. It's the Romanian sculler, Ana Maria Matran on lane 2. You can see it now a bit more clearly. Crossing the halfway mark ahead of the rest of the field is Poland's Kalinowska, ahead of Stavinoga from Ukraine. And then in third place it's Matran of Romania, but also Beatriz Varela of Portugal still in the mix.
Takmičarke su prošle 1000 metara, to je polovinu staze. Prva kroz 1000 metara je prošla takmičarka iz Poljske, na drugom mestu takmičarka iz Ukrajine i na trećem mestu se nalazi takmičarka iz Rumunije.
Yeah, to the right of your picture we have Svetlana Milosevic now of Serbia. I think she has decided to conserve her energy for the B final, not seeing a real chance of making top 3 in this race. And the B final, as you know, is bound to be started in just 2 hours' time. So that's probably her decision today, because her rates of striking are really low. So the top 3 contenders in the middle are Poland, Ukraine and Romania at the moment. Still within reach though are Portugal and also Estonia.
I think it's safe to say that Wiktoria Kalinowska of Poland is, with the second fastest time of yesterday's race, definitely the favorite of this semifinal A, and I think it is expected for her to come in first, but we will see how it goes until the end.
Yeah, guys, yesterday we talked a bit about the mindset. I mean, again, here we have 2 races on the same day, 2 tough races. But then on the other hand, especially in the single scull, you want to show your opponents how strong you are. And so I believe that all 3 leading athletes will still invest some power to be in front of this race, and thus also get one of the middle lanes in the final.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the finals to see how these young athletes are going to be coping with that rough schedule, and definitely install for some good racing.
Yeah, so this race seems to be decided a bit earlier than we expected, probably, because the top 3 athletes, being Poland, Ukraine and Romania, are clearly in front here now. It's 2 or 3 lengths with just over 300 meters to go to the finish line. The rest of the athletes not within reach of the top 3 seats in this race. That applies for Elena Dimitriev of Estonia and also for Beatriz Varela of Portugal. These scullers might be racing in the B final, barring any disaster at the head of the field, of course. Still Kalinowska of Poland in the lead, and then closely bunched together are the athletes from Ukraine and from Romania for second and third.
Yeah, it might be that the Daria Stavinoga of Ukraine is maybe getting into the pole position, and I think it's going to be a tight race between all 3 of them until the very end. They're really trying to get that middle spot.
Yeah, well, interesting. You're right. But actually, if you look at Kalinowska of Poland, she's not taking her rate up, so she decided not to respond to the challenge thrown at her from Stavinoga. So that's exactly what we discussed. Single sculling is all about the mind, and Stavinoga wanted this win here to get that self-confidence for the final. So Ukraine wins ahead of Kalinowska of Poland, and then it's Matran of Romania. These 3 are the qualifiers for the A final, for the medal final, followed by Beatriz Varela of Portugal. And then some strokes left in the race for Elena Dimitriev of Estonia and also for Svetlana Milosevic of Serbia.
Na prvom mestu u prvoj polufinalnoj trci ženskog skifa prva je kroz cilj prošla takmičarka iz Ukrajine, na drugom mestu Poljska, na trećem mestu Rumunija. Četvrta kroz cilj i učesnica B finala je takmičarka iz Portugala, zatim Estonije i naša Svetlana Milošević.
So here we are with the start list for semi-final number 2 of the Junior Women's Single Scull here at the 2020 European Rowing Junior Championships in Belgrade. Croatia in lane 1, that's Reina Rimbaldo. Lane 2 from Turkey, Deniz Nurbaykara. Lane 3 from Belarus, Violeta Dimitrieva, and she clocked the fastest time in yesterday's heats. Bettina Siska for Hungary in lane 4. Then Emma Kohlmeier of Slovakia in lane 5 and Anastasia Kucharenko of Russia completing this field on the grandstand side to the right of your picture now. This shot is from the finish tower, and at the 1,000 meter mark we had Belarus in the lead, Dimitrieva, who, as I said, clocked the fastest time of all competitors in this race, followed by the Turkish sculler and then by Hungarian Siska, but it's not many seconds back to the Slovakians and the Croatian scullers.
U drugoj polufinalnoj trci ženskog skifa u pruzi broj 1 Hrvatska, pruga broj 2 Turska, pruga broj 3 Belorusija, u pruzi broj 4 Mađarska, pruga broj 5 Slovačka i pruga broj 6 Rusija. Takmičarke su prošle 1000 metara i ubrzo će doći do sledećih 500 metara, znači 500 metara do cilja.
Very controlled race by the Belarus sculler Dimitrieva. She, I think, can look back at her opponents now. This is the advantage in rowing. When you're in front, you can see your opponents better. You don't have to turn your head around, whereas everyone else has to turn and look for the leading contender to gauge your own speed as well. So to the left of Dimitrieva, who is third from the left, so in the middle lane, if you will, we see Deniz Nurbaykara of Turkey, so going with the Belarus sculler, and to the right of the Belarus sculler on lane 4 we have Bettina Siska from Hungary, but the Hungarian sculler is under pressure here, under threat from Croatia's Reina Rimbaldo. Far to the left of your picture on lane 1, Croatia's coming up strongly now, and at halfway it wasn't much to choose, and at 1500 it's also not much between those two, so around 4 or 5 seconds is nothing, but here we are with the final sprint of these rowers. So 60 strokes to the line when you cross 1500, and some athletes count that down in their heads, opening that up, that last stretch of water up with a sprint, and then taking the rate up as high as they can.
Yeah, definitely exactly what you said. When you're in front, a lot of things are easier. For the tactics, you can focus on your own racing. Everyone else is just catching up, and we can see that Hungarian sculler is really pushing it to the line and challenging both the Turkish sculler and responding to the threat from the side, from Croatia and Slovakia.
Yeah, again, I think we have three athletes that lead this field. Clearly in the lead is the Belarus sculler Violetta Dimitrieva. She has a comfortable margin of 3 or 4 lengths over the two scullers that are now level, and that applies for Turkey's Baykara and also for Bettina Siska of Hungary. These two are nearly level for second and third, but high sprinting stroke rates from Reina Rimbaldo of Croatia on the far side, but I think she'll run out of water here, a gap of open water between the top three and the Croatian sculler, and then we have the two scullers from Slovakia and Russia coming up. Russia now taking 5th place, and Slovakia not even having crossed the line, but she stopped rowing a bit early here. Emma Kohlmeier in 6th position.
Prva kroz cilj u ovoj drugoj polufinalnoj trci u skifu za juniorke. Prva prošla je takmičarka iz Belorusije, na drugom mestu Mađarska i na trećem mestu je takmičarka iz Turske. U B finalu će se naći takmičarka iz Hrvatske, zatim Rusija i na kraju Slovačka.
So the Belarus sculler clearly didn't have to give everything in this semifinal of the junior women's single scull. Violetta Dimitrieva, she has some fuel left in the tank for this afternoon's final when it's all about the medals.
I'm looking forward to seeing the race between her, the sculler from the Ukraine, and Poland. That's going to be an interesting race.
Yes, and I'm also looking forward to another one of these Finnish surges by Hungarian Bettina Siska. That's going to be a tough silver medal position for sure.
Looking forward to racing action. Also, we look forward now to see the bigger boats coming up. We have the single sculls. Now we have the double sculls, the junior women's double sculls semifinal number 1. Which is between Poland, Russia, Greece, Belarus, Croatia and Serbia.
Prva polufinalna trka za double scull juniorke. U prvoj pruzi posada Poljske, zatim Rusije, posada Grčke, Belorusija, Hrvatska i u stazi broj 6 Srbija.
And at the halfway mark, we have the boat from Belarus ahead of Russia and Greece in the 3 qualifying positions, but Poland being 4th at that point, not far off. And the same goes for Croatia. Serbia with a little bit of work to do here.
Yes, it looks as though that Serbia also has some troubles with steering. So I hope they manage that as well.
To the right of your picture, it's the Serbian boat in lane 6, so closest to the grandstand. And in the middle, we have the 3 leading boats, not separated by much, I must say. Belarus still in the lead. Let's see, red and green racing suits there in lane 4. But next to them are the Greek and Russian doubles, and they up the rate and they try to come closer towards the leading contender in this race. And that speed, all 3 boats on top speeds now, brings them away clear from the rest of the field. Poland in the 4th position at the moment, Szyminska and Jankowska trying to close that gap, maybe get into a position, get an overlap with one of the 3 leading boats from Belarus, Russia and Greece.
There's a real fight going between 2, 3 and 4. I'm excited to see what the finish is going to look like, who's going to be the strongest, who's going to be the fastest, and who's going to keep that maximum speed going into the last into the red buoys.
You can see the 1750 meter mark, the white little buoy there to the right. So that marks the last 30 strokes in this race for these athletes, 30, 35 strokes maybe, and not too high rate of striking by the Belarus boat, Rupayeva and Rusak. they have everything under control. Much higher rate of striking from the Greek competitors to their left, and also Russia on high rates, 38 strokes a minute. These three boats carry that momentum away from the rest of the field. I think Poland might run out of water here with just under 200 meters left until the finish line.
Yeah, Belarus has this in the bag. I would say that they were controlling the race from start to finish, and this is just really good rowing for these girls.
I u samom kraju pruga broj 2, 3 i 4 sa Belorusijom u pruzi 4 kao liderom u ovoj trci približavaju se samom cilju. Belorusija, Grčka i na trećem mestu Rusija za sada.
Here we are with the final strokes in semi-final number 1 for the junior women's double sculls, and the win goes to Belarus ahead of Greece and ahead of Russia. These three are the qualifying, the qualified boats for the A final, leaving Poland and the boat from Croatia, as well as the boat from Serbia to row the B final a little later on this morning.
I približavamo se sa kraju ove druge polufinalne trke Double Sculla za juniorke. Prvo mesto Belorusija, drugo mesto Grčka, treće mesto Rusija. To su ujedno i 3 posade koje će ići u finale A. Zatim na 4. mestu Poljska, na 5. Hrvatska i 6. Srbija. To su 3 posade koje će se naći u finalu B.
Yeah, and if you're watching this with your aunt who has never been watching rowing before, the A final means ranks 1 to 6, and then B final is rank numbers 7 to 12, 6 lanes being the usual format of an Olympic rowing course. So moving on to the second semi-final here in the junior women's double scull, the Czech Republic, Romania, Switzerland, Slovenia, France and Latvia are in this race. Again, the first 3 will move on to the medal final later on today, and the lower 3 will go to the B final. That is a replay of the starting sequence from the side shot here, whereas now we move back live with the crew.
Takmičarke, ja se izvinjam, su prošle upravo marker za 1000 metara. Nalaze se na polovini staze.
Yeah, so we briefly lost the picture here. Now we're back with the racing action. Switzerland was leading at the 500 meter mark ahead of Slovenia and Romania. Let's see how this race developed at the 1000. Switzerland still in the lead, but not much to choose between Switzerland and Slovenia, and this is also reflected by the picture that is shot from the finish tower here, and by the split time that we just had up for you there. And then it's France and Romania in a very close race for rank number 3 and 4. Also, the Czech Republic not too far away, so let's see what happens on the second half of the race. They are into the third quarter of the race now. Muscles are hurting, tunnel vision is coming more and more, so these athletes really hurt, and now is the time to put in all the training that you had over the last months. Nothing else to do than endurance training in the summer holidays probably, and then coming back to a race-related training just a few weeks ago. So now these crews really will show their worth.
I u ulasku u trećih 500 metara u vodstvu je ekipa iz Švajcarske, zatim ekipa iz Slovenije i iza njih na trećem mestu ekipa iz Francuske, dok Rumunija i Francuska, da kažem, Rumunija napada Francusku da bi došla do tog trećeg mesta. Vidjet ćemo kako će se stvari odvijati u poslednjih 500 metara.
If you look to the left of this pan shot here, or this wide shot of the whole field. The left, that's the Czech Republic crew of Vličkova and Starostova. They try to challenge the Romanians for that 4th and 5th places at the moment. The top 3 still being Switzerland, Slovenia, and France in that order. So let's see whether this battle for 4th and 5th on the left of your picture brings them any extra boat speed on the last stretch of water. Here we have about 400 meters left of this race. So Slovenia now challenging the Swiss for first place, as they have done all the way down the course. The margin at 1,000 was just a second. Just 0.7 of a second between both crews, and it's still the same. So Switzerland, and as yesterday, we hear the cowbells, which is again information for the Aunt Mary, who's watching rowing the first time. The Swiss supporters always bring cowbells, which is very typical for the Swiss, and support their athletes. And you can hear this a lot better than shouting actually in the race. So this is the moment, once they start waving the cowbells, to really open up your final sprint.
Once you hear that, then you know it's time to shift in 5th gear, I guess.
Absolutely, and this is what the Slovenians do. They are overrating the Swiss combination of Marion Heiniger and Talia Ahumada Ireland by quite a few strokes, but the Swiss have seen that and respond now with just 4 or 5 strokes to the minute.
Responding quite well.
Absolutely. So they upped the rate and now cross the line in first place, taking the win in semi-final number 2 of the junior women's single sculls, ahead of Slovenia, Ruby Chop in the boat, daughter of famous Istok Chop. Nea Tepes is her partner in this boat, so they're happy to make the final here, of course. And France, Zeli Jacoulet and Mia Bosque are also going through to the medal final. Romania, the Czech Republic, and Latvia will race in the B final.
I na kraju ove druge polufinalne trke Double Sculla za juniorke. Prvo mesto Švajcarska, drugo mesto Slovenija i treće mesto Francuska. To su ujedno i 3 ekipe koje će ići u finale A, dok 4. mesto Rumunija, 5. mesto Češka i 6. mesto Letonija će se naći u B finalu.
From the ladies, we now move on to the gentlemen. It's the semi-final number 1 in the junior men's double scull in Slovenia. Poland, Greece, Turkey, France, and Estonia are in this race. This is a replay of the starting sequence of the first few strokes here from our colleagues from the TV department. And here we are back with a live racing action, and it looks to me as if the Polish combination of Jakub Wozniak and Cezary Litka are leading this by about 3/4 of a length ahead of Greece, Dimitrios Stasinos and Georgios Makligiannis. But the rest of the field, at least for ranks number 3 and 4, are really close by, aren't they?
Yes, it looks like they're really close by. They're giving them quite a challenge to keep that position of theirs. And let me just get my Serbian spectators here up to date. So prva trka polufinalna u disciplini Double Scull juniori, 6 posada, pruga broj 1 Slovenija, pruga broj 2 Poljska, pruga broj 3 Grčka, pruga broj 4 Turska, pruga broj 5 Francuska i pruga broj 6 Estonija. Takmičari su prošli 1000 metara i na prvoj poziciji trenutno nalazi se ekipa iz Poljske. Tik iza njih jedno sekund i po nalazi se posada Grčke i onda isto sekund iza posada Grčke nalazi se posada iz Turske. Dakle, jedna za sada ljuta borba između ove tri posade, dok posada Turske pokušava da se nađe na trećoj poziciji protiv Grčke.
Well, the two Polish scullers were second in yesterday's heat. They lost to Spain, but were ahead of France. So that was the combination in the heat yesterday, made their way through to the semi-final directly. But today they look a bit stronger, I believe. They have a very good cooperation here going on at the head of the field, a length up on their lane neighbors from Greece, Stasinos and Makridgiannis. They are now on 38, 39 strokes even, I would say, a high rate of striking for the Greek bowl, which is the third from the left of your picture. And then beside them are Turkey, who have to fight off the challenge coming from France. Lefebvre and Palsma now nearly level with the boat from Turkey. It was close at 1,000 already, but I think now these two boats are battling out for third place, right?
Yes, it's a very, very good battle going on for the qualifying places in the finals. And what I wanted to talk about is these doubles are looking very good. They're sending the boat. The boat is not jumping around. This is very good rowing.
Yeah, we just appreciate to watch good rowing, especially after this long season without the opportunity to watch high-class rowing. And these athletes certainly have prepared really well. At 1,500, it was still Poland ahead of Greece and Turkey. But I believe now that France has overtaken the Turkish combination. So this is really going all through this race down to the line. It's France now in third place. It's Greece sprinting to overtake Poland, who seem to be in control of this race, still underrating the Greek double by a considerable number of strokes per minute. So it's Poland, Greece, and France is coming up very strong now. They have taken third place from Turkey, who don't seem to be able to up their rate or put another extra effort in. So it's Poland controlling this, crossing the line in first ahead of Greece and France. These are the three qualified crews for the medal final, leaving Turkey, Slovenia and Estonia to row the B final for places number 7 to 12.
I upravo ispred nas je prošla trka Double School, prva polufinalna trka Double Schoola za juniore. Prvi krstci su prošli takmičari iz Poljske, na drugom mestu su bio je čamac iz Grčke i na trećem mestu je prošao čamac Francuske. Ostali takmičari će se naći u B finalu.
Here are the two scullers from Poland. Clever race tactics. They control their pace all the way down to the line. And of course, clever race tactics by the French, who came from behind to take third place from the Turkish crew. Here we are with semi-final number 2. This is a replay of the starting first few starting strokes. We have Lithuania, the Czech Republic, Spain, Switzerland, Hungary, and Bulgaria in this race. Again, we have three. The first three will go through to the A final, and then the ranks 4 to 6 will race the B final.
Druga polufinalna trka za dubl muški je upravo krenula. U stazi broj 1 se nalazi čamac Litvanije, staza broj 2 Češka, broj 3 Španija, staza broj 4 Švajcarska, staza 5 Mađarska i staza broj 6 Bugarska. Takmičari se nalaze na oko 750 metara. Uskoro ćemo vidjeti rezultate na pola trke i vidjeti ko je u vodstvu.
So here we are back with the live action. It's the semi-final number 2 of the junior men's double sculls, and we have the Hungarian crew in the lead at. We had the Hungarian crew in the lead at 500 meters, just ahead of Spain and Switzerland. Also, Bulgaria not far off, as were the Czech Republic boat, as was the Czech Republic boat. Lithuania. So all the crews were still tightly in the mix there at 500 meters. Now we are closer to 1,000 meter, and it looks very good for the Spanish Pablo Moreno and Gaetano Ortapombo. Halfway mark, canvas lead over the Swiss combination, over the Hungarians. And here comes the Swiss combination of Hars and Igli in third position. So the field a lot very much spread out here already. So let's see what the other crews can do to catch up with the leading three contenders.
Spain, Hungary, and second.
Yeah, so at halfway mark, it was the Swiss in third place, just 2 seconds ahead of the Czech Republic. So there's some tension in there, and also Lithuania not far off. Only Bulgaria with about 5 seconds to rank number 3, 6 seconds even to one of the qualifying spots here, with some work to do. But Spain looks good, third from the left of your picture. This picture showing all 6 crews. So Spain in the lead, and very controlled style of rowing, wouldn't you say, Sava?
Yes, I think Spain has that advantage that you've been talking about for that ant that's looking at us right now. Is you have the Spanish crew commanding the lead, and it's just by a small margin, but I think it still matters up until the finish.
Yeah, Spain clocked the second fastest time of all crews in the heats. Only the Greek combination, whom we saw in the previous semi-final, also as a qualifier in second place, was a little bit faster. So Spain certainly one of the favorites here. They beat Poland and France in yesterday's heats, but all 3 crews, of course, qualified directly. But here they are clearly in command and moving this double scull beautifully down the Adesagalia race course here. Everything's prepared really well, and this also applies for the water surface guys. We had great racing conditions nearly all day yesterday, with the exception of the last 30 minutes of the morning session. But today it just looks great. Let's get out of the water.
Yeah, if you want, afterwards we can get a 4 out or something. I u samom finišu ulasku u posljednjih 500 metara Španija predvodi u pruzi broj 3, dok Švajcarska i Mađarska se bore za drugo mesto.
This is a great race, and I think it will go all through down to the line, which is about 250 meters away. The first boats now being in the red buoy zone, and Spain still looks confident, but Hungary is coming up strongly. They also have gained boat speed there, open up the final sprint early enough to maybe even overhaul the Spanish, and giving the Swiss really a run for their money. Switzerland looking good though for a final A qualification. The Czech Republic in 4th at the moment. Then it's Lithuania and Bulgaria in places 5 and 6. But look at the Spanish double, everything under control. One look to the right. Yes, we are still in front. So Spain and Hungary with a good final sprint, as well as Switzerland, are the qualifiers from this semi-final number 2 of the junior men's double sculls, leaving the other crews, the Czech Republic, Lithuania and Bulgaria, to row the B final.
Prvi kroz cilj u ovom drugom polufinalnom takmičenju su prošli takmičari iz Španije, na drugom mestu su momci iz Mađarske i na trećem mestu čamac iz Švajcarske. Četvrti kroz cilj su prošli Česi, na 5. mestu Litvanija i na 6. mestu takmičari iz Bugarske, koji će se popodne takmičiti u B finalu.
So this is the Spanish combination of Pablo Moreno and Caetano Ortapombo. Now they will go back to the pontoon and probably they will go on the rowing machine to get a little bit of recovery work done, get all the lactate out of their muscles to prepare for this afternoon's medal final. Next race to come up. We see 4 rowers in the boat. Yes, it's the junior men's quadruple sculls semi-final, 2 semi-finals again. A very good entry of 17 boats made it necessary to have semi-final races in this boat class. We see Spain, Poland, the Czech Republic, Lithuania, Ireland and Ukraine in this first set of semi-finals and this first race. And that was a replay of the start. Crews are underway.
U prvom polufinalnom delu ovog četverca Skull za juniore, prva staza Španija, druga staza Poljska, treća Češka, četvrta Litvanije, u pružni broj 5 Irska i u pružni broj 6 Ukrajina. Ovdje se očekuje jako interesantno polufinale. Svi ovi momci su jako blizu sa vremenima juče bili u kvalifikacijnim takmičenjima i danas očekujemo jako uzbudljivo polufinale.
I must state I love watching this boat class. It's really a great and a beautiful boat class to watch because all the symmetric action, like 8 blades clashing into the water, but it's a really smooth and elegant movement here. All 6 boats still within a length, so this is a great race. It's about 700 meters old, and we look forward to seeing all these great crews here in the Finnish area.
Yes, I must agree with you. I love watching the quadruple sculls. It's a perfect combination of finesse and explosivity. It's just going to be fantastic. And this is a good race, as Jovan said. These are all sculling powerhouses, nations, and I'm quite looking forward to yesterday's. For yesterday's qualifiers, all promised a great semifinal this morning. So this is going to be a great race.
Yeah, not much to choose between these boats. After the first 500, we're gonna await the results at the 1,000 to see who took the charge, who had the better race tactics for the middle of the race.
Excellent work there in the Czech boat. Inger Zindulka, Chlebovsky and Snyder, they moved their boat out of the rest of the chasing pack, if you will, but the rest of the field for places 2 to 5 is still tightly knit. Slightly in a disadvantage at the moment is Ukraine on the grandstand side. They're hanging back a little bit here, but I think they can still close that gap to the leading crews. It's just 5.5 seconds at the 1,000 meter mark. So the Czech Republic leading Ireland ahead of Poland, but not far off. We also see Lithuania and Spain.
I kako su takmičari prošli 1000 metara, dobili smo i rezultate koji nam pokazuju nešto više o ovoj trci. Na prvom mjestu trenutno nalazi se Češka Republika, tik iza njih nalazi se Irska, zatim manje od sekunde iza nalazi se Poljska i na 4., 5. i 6. mjestu se nalaze Litvanija, Španija i Ukrajina, mada ova trka je brza i eksplozivna i bit će neizvesno do samog kraja.
So here we are with the fastest sculling boat class. Just over 50 kilo is the weight of the boat. And of course the athletes weighing between 70 and 85 kilo each, maybe even a little bit more, some of them. So the real power, the real comes from the athletes here, and the boat being built from carbon fiber, aluminium, also all high class materials. The Czech Republic used their boat here and move their boat really beautifully. They have a length up on the rest of the field, but then look at the sprint between Spain, Poland to the left of the leading boat from the Czech Republic, and then to the right you see Ireland, who always can sprint quite well and always up their rate now. They're on 39 strokes already, and they need that work to be done. They need the boat speed up if they want to make the medal final. Ukraine also coming up and coming into the mix here when it comes to the places 1 to 3.
There's a huge challenge from the Ukrainian quad. This is going to be a very exciting all the way to the line.
It's gonna get real close here. Only the Czech Republic seems safe and away, but Poland, Ireland, and Ukraine sprinting for 2 places. So 3 crews, just 2 of them will go through to the A final. Who's it gonna be? It's the Czech Republic crossing the line in first. Then it looks to be Ireland in second, and just Poland managed to keep their bow in front of Ukraine. But what a great effort by Ukraine! They left it a little bit too late, so they'll be racing in the B final. Great performance then by the Czech Republic, really having this race under control from the start. Spain in 5th, and then it's Lithuania in 6th position.
Odličan finiš od strane veslača u prvoj polufinalnoj grupi za finale u četvrtu skulu za muškarce. Prvi kroz cilj su prošli momci iz Češke, na drugom mestu Irska, treća Poljska, za malo ispred Ukrajine koja završava na 4. mestu i naći će svoje mesto u B finalu popodne, zajedno sa Španijom i sa Litvanijom.
So confirmation, the Czech Republic won this in 6:04. Just for you guys to compare with the next semi-final, which is which has already been started. This is a replay coming up shortly. Turkey, Estonia, Russia, Belarus, France, and Switzerland competing for the second set of 3 A final places in this race. From this race, and this is the starting sequence. And here we are back with the live action, and we see that. We have the boat from Russia in the lead here. Russia followed closely by Belarus, also France in the mix, and on the far side we have Turkey and Estonia. So these boats are just separated by about a length and a half at the halfway mark. A lot of promise in this race again.
I trenutno gledamo drugu polufinalnu grupu četverca Sculls za juniore, 6 posada, u pruzi broj 1 Turska, u pruga broj 2 Estonija, pruga broj 3 Rusija, pruga broj 4 Belorusija, pruga broj 5 Francuska i pruga broj 6 Švajcarska. Na prvom mestu trenutno se nalazi ekipa iz Rusije, u pruzi broj 3, sve ostalo je još uvek možda preblizu da bismo dali neke konačne rezultate. Drugo mesto između Belorusije i Francuske.
Yeah, first 3 at 1,000. We had that graphic on the screen briefly. Russia, Belarus, and France, but just a second separating France from Estonia in 4th position at the halfway mark, and also Turkey. So just a second separating all 3 crews, France, Estonia, and Turkey. As we said, this is a promise for an exciting race again. On the second half, crews are at 12:50. That's usually a point where some crews want to make a move, want to make a push, power 10 or something, and I think this is what the Russian crew just have done. They upped their rate a little bit, maybe just a little bit more pressure to the blades, and increased the margin, increased their lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, we just saw that the Belarus crew had a little bit of a steering issue. They hit the buoy line on one stroke, and they managed to get back into the race. But yeah, the Russians are in front in this race, and they executing their race plan, I think, the best way.
It's pretty tough steering and rowing at the same time. Usually the strokeman steers that with his left foot or right foot, and then there's a cable running to the rudder at the stern of the boat. Sometimes when you apply the power unevenly, you might even involuntarily move that shoe. Shouldn't be, but it was in this case. But look at the Russian crew in the middle of your picture now, clearly in command of this race. Behind them, though, is a fierce fight going on for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places. So the grandstand is filling a little bit here. Russia leading the way home here. Behind them it's Belarus back on track, straight track towards the finish line. So that little steering mistake didn't cost them too much. But look at it. Switzerland, France and Estonia battling out for place number 3. So it looks to be France still holding that, but Switzerland is flying towards the finish line, and it's indeed the Swiss who've taken it. So win for Russia ahead of Belarus, and then Switzerland just making it to the A final, celebrating that delight on their faces. And then it's France who miss out, and also Turkey and Estonia. We will see all these crews back in the B final later this morning.
Kao što je bilo u prvoj trci polufinala za četverac Skull, tako i u drugoj odličan finiš za takmičare koji su se nalazili na stazi. Prvi kroz cilj su prošli momci iz Rusije, na drugom mestu Belorusija, treće mesto Švajcarska u fantastičnom finišu ispred Francuske koja će se naći u B finalu zajedno sa Turskom i sa Estonijom.
This is a spares race, yes?
So the next race on the course, and that's the last race of this morning session, if you will, the last race before we start with the final block at 11 o'clock. The last race now is the spares race. So very important to have good spare women and men in your team, because if one gets ill, if one of the team members gets ill, he or she needs to be prepared well, needs to have the same preparation and the same fitness as the others. We have 2 men and 1 lady in this race. Cecilia Fernandez Legaspi from Spain on lane 3, and then we have Russia and France sending Vyacheslav Kolosov and Alistair Dziko into this race. And of course they want to show how strong they are, what training they have, and it looks to be the French sculler leading the Russian sculler at this point. And of course then we have the Spanish sculler in the race too, the lady from Spain, not in the picture yet. So France leading Russia and then Spain.
I posljednja trka u današnjem jutarnjem programu je trka izmena i to će biti skif za juniore gde imamo dve posade, Vyacheslav Kolosov iz Rusije i Alistair Dziko iz Francuske, i imamo jednu takmičarku iz Španije, Ceciliju Fernandez Legaspi.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the rowers on the course. It's the Spares races, and we have two gentlemen on the course. For Russia, Vyacheslav Kolosov in lane 1 and Alistair Giko for France in 2. And Alistair is leading at this point, really moving his boat well. 14 kilos to the single scull, around 8 meters long. So he's moving that down the course beautifully. We have a lady in the race too, Cecilia Fernandez Legaspi of Spain, to the right of your picture. And, well, rowing being a power sport, meaning men usually have a little bit more strength. That's why we see the two guys here ahead of the female rower. But she's really also moving her boat well down the course, high rates of striking. So she's really trying to prove her worth, being ready for racing action if she would be needed.
Upravo možemo da vidimo takmičara iz Francuske koji prolazi kao brži ispred takmičara iz Rusije. Ovo je, da ponovimo, trka zamena. I prvi je prošao takmičar iz Francuske, iza njega takmičar iz Rusije.
So a good win for Alistair Giko for France in this Spares races, ahead of Vyacheslav Kolosov of Russia, both having raced hard down this course. And a few more meters for the Spanish sculler, Cecilia Fernandez Legaspi. Strong support from the bank for Cecilia Fernandez Legaspi, the Spanish spare, who really races hard and now finished her race in good style. Hopefully the Spanish crew is safe and sound so that they don't need her, because she spent a lot of energy in this race. So good success and good luck for all the crews that will be racing later. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the last race of the morning session, semi-finals, and that Spares race. We will be joining the racing action in an hour and 3 minutes time. So that means the first C final will start at 11 o'clock sharp, and we'll be joining you then again. So until then, have a good morning, get yourself some coffee, make yourself comfortable, and we hope you tune in again on worldrowing.com.
I prolaskom kroz cilj španske takmičarke u trci izmene Fernandez Legaspi Cecilije završena je jutarnja sesija trka. Vidimo se u 11 časova kada će početi prva trka finala C skifa za juniorke. Do tada uživajte i vidimo se za sat vremena i 5 minuta.